Phil, Nick Sirianni said the other day the vertical pass to Zach Pascal late in the game, it was coverage that you wouldn't normally throw against, but he said that you have that confidence. What gives you the confidence in Zach in particular and then the receivers in general? Is that growing? Do you feel, I guess, more willing to take risk now than you might have been at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I definitely feel that rapport and the level of trust just continuing to grow. It's a trustworthy group, the way they work and the practice reps we've gotten and the communication. So the foundation was on good footing to start with, but it's only going to continue to grow just the more times you throw. I mean, I've never thrown that ball to Zach. I did try to throw him one back shoulder against Chicago versus the press coverage, but I mean, we haven't completed that ball in a game, so those kind of plays are big, each and every completion and each and every rep you get a unique look. It comes up and you make a big conversion like that or a big play in the game to get you down in the scoring zone again. So those are all big. And Zach did a heck of a job. I thought they were going to roll down and play straight cover one and then end up running a two-man. It was just more of a reaction really than anything. And Zach did a heck of a job hanging on to it.
And Sterling?
Philip, this kind of knucklehead question, but how much easier is it for you to play quarterback when you're not getting hit? When you are protected this well, how much easier is it for you to play the position?
Yeah, it's big. It's big. Just in general, I think. Over 17 years, I've been thankful to have guys fighting like crazy in front and tight ends and backs, and every game I've been in. Some games are different than others. Some seasons are different than others. But it's part of playing the position. But certainly the way our guys are protected and the way the pocket's been really all season long is a big positive. It's really a cumulative effect. If there's constant harassment or pressure back there, you think, man, you may get sped up a little more. You threw it a tick sooner than you needed to because maybe the previous play was this, or maybe you felt like there was going to be a little more. So I think you get used to it. I mean, shoot, a congested pocket's part of playing the position that we play, and that's going to happen from time to time. It happened from time to time the other day. But our guys have been unbelievable. But there's no question that the way the protection has been certainly has a positive effect on the whole team, the whole offense in general, passing game, and certainly in certain instances allows me a tick longer to be able to get through a progression or hang on to it for a chunk play or whatever the play may call for.
Charlie Clifford.
Phil, often the assumption is big game, great team, that margin for error shrinks noticeably. But Lamar Jackson last week, he turns it over 4 times. He's still one play away from winning the game. How does the margin for error change in your mind depending on what's on paper?
Well, I think there's certain things that you look at, and there's so many things now statistically more so than ever that you look at that you can point to that correlate to winning games, from time possession to, there's a long list of things that you can analyze and look at. But one that's always stood held pretty tight that's hard to overcome is turnover. So, and you look at the 2 games we've lost, those are the 2 games we turned it over the most and couldn't overcome them. Jacksonville had a chance to overcome them, couldn't overcome it. In Cleveland, you look at the other wins we've had, we've either had 1 turnover, but the defense has gotten a bunch, or we've had none. So, but the thing is, you believe as a team you can find a way to win in any circumstance. Well, if we turn over 4 times, we still can find a way to win. Or if we only don't have the ball as often, time possession, we lose that, we still can find a way to win. If we're 2 for 14 on 3rd down, we can still find a way to win. So I still think you believe you can. Or if you're down 21-0, we can still find a way to win. So you can beat the what the analytics say, but certainly over time, those things seem to hold up pretty good.
Mike Chappell.
Philip, I realize you've got a lot on your plate with the Ravens defense, but when you play a quarterback or going against a quarterback like Jackson, can you appreciate what he brings to the game? And maybe are you and he maybe the perfect example? Is there's 2 different ways to play the position?
Yeah, I think so. Although watching him, we when I was with the Chargers, we played him, twice in 2018. That was his first year going, and then he comes off an MVP season and obviously playing unbelievable football. So he still has made a ton of plays, from the pocket, throwing it, unbelievable touch throws down the field, big chunk plays, and there are times when we do play the same game, and he can play the style that I play. I can't play his other style. I can't do. So, but it's there's a lot of different ways to get it done. A lot of different throwing motions, a lot of different way guys process, a lot of different things. Guys, what they look for when they break the huddle, or who reads this guy or that, what they do best. I mean, there's all kind of different ways to do it. He certainly is a awesome player. Been great for our league. He and a lot of other young quarterbacks that can both throw it and run it and extend plays and make unbelievable runs and plays. It's been great for the league.
Joel Erickson.
Philip, what's the value in a play that you throw it into the dirt, or you take a sack instead of forcing it? And how hard is it to, I guess, quote unquote, give up on a play as opposed to taking the chance? But the value of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot. There's huge value. You get to snap it again. We talk about ending every possession with a kick. There was maybe a year or two, 2 seasons throughout my career, maybe more than that, where I think I may have led the league in throwaways. So I think there's a time and place for it. And there's also a time and place to hang on to it a little longer and try to make a play. I mean, there's a fine line, and it really kind of depending on how the game's going, the situation. And it doesn't mean you're always going to be right. Sometimes you may be wrong and hanging on to it a little too long. And then the very next series, you may have been right, because without hanging on to it, we may have punted and may not got the ball back. I mean, you just never know. There's so many what ifs. But a throwaway and a sack in certain instances, I thought that was the one thing, not just throwing away or the sack. I can think of a couple in the Detroit game, but just in general as an offense, we only had the one penalty. We managed the situations very well in that game. It was 7-0 then the first quarter. I mean, we weren't playing great, but we were just kind of hanging in there, and then the fourth quarter is a 6-point game. You look up and you win by 20, but we managed the situations well, and those couple things you ask certainly are part of it.
Zach Kiefer.
Bill, going back to Lamar, it's such an interesting quarterback matchup, and I know you guys won't be on the field at the same time, but he's 23 years old. He's the MVP. Is part of you enjoy those challenges against these up-and-comers? And when you were the younger quarterback, did you particularly love going up against the older established guys? I think Favre was one of your favorite quarterbacks. Do you have any memories on the other end of the coin?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I've always, even still now, we usually when I come off the sideline, whether it be a scoring drive or whatever, I kind of take a breather a little bit and kind of go through everything you need to, and then you kind of check up with Nick and Marcus and Jacoby, and we talk through, or the lineman or whatever. And then I just have a hard time sitting down. So I've always enjoyed watching our defense play, and certainly that also includes the opposing team's quarterback. You mentioned Favre. I remember a game, playing against in Green Bay in 2007. He threw a slant to Donald Driver, I believe, for a touchdown that beat us. But just it was a heck of a game. But just seeing a guy like that I go, shoot, I grew up watching him. Here we are on the same field. So yeah, no, Peyton Manning getting to compete in the same division. He was always a favorite, like I've told you before. I mean, I allowed myself to be 10, 11, 12 years old just for about 10 seconds every time Peyton ran out on the field to warm up, and I was just like, shoot, there's Peyton Manning, and like, what in the world is happening out here, and then you go right back to we got to get after him, so yeah, no, Lamar, it's fun to watch these guys, what they can do. Unbelievable what they can do, obviously what he can do athletically running with the football and how fast he is. I mean, some of the runs he's made over his career has just been remarkable, and again, like I said, he's made a ton of plays from the pocket as well. So you never feel like you're directly playing the other team's quarterback, but certainly, as quarterbacks, you're leading. You're one of the handful of leaders leading the team. So it's always you always look forward to it and see that some of the unique kind of, you mentioned 23 years old. Thinking about when I was in the NFL, he was he was 8. He was 8. He was my third grader's age that was playing somewhere. So it's pretty awesome.
Kevin Bowen.
Philip, how would you describe your role with the run game, whether it be making checks, getting you guys in the right play, things like that?
Well, I've always, I've grown. I shouldn't say always. I've grown to really, I appreciate not the word. What's the word? I've really grown to, value and commit over the years, really. I mean, this is way back. This isn't recently. Just to understanding the blocking schemes and why this play works versus this, and why this works, and why this check and why that check, and certainly a lot of things you do throughout the week you already know and they're built in. But what else might be good, and it happens in the heat of the moment, and there's something in this. I've always I've grown to appreciate that and know the importance of that in the run game. So. Our guys up front and our tight ends and our backs obviously do the bulk of the work, but certainly I do feel like it's important that I'm dialed in, clued in, and can contribute where I can to help us be in the best run possible and understand why and what we're looking for in those. And so especially, early in the week, Wednesday, kind of when you install that first plan, there's a lot of time spent on a run game. So it's not just come in and look at the pass drawings and go hand it off. There's certainly a lot of work put into the run game as well.
Okay, we got time for 3 more quick ones. Jim,
Yeah, Philip, Frank just said that the practices between you and Eric Weddle were epic, is what he called them. What do you remember from those practices, and why were they so important to your development as a quarterback?
Well, he was the quarterback of the defense, for lack of a better word. His ability to get guys lined up and adjust on the fly was really second to none. He was already a really good safety physically, and his ability to cover ground and make tackles and do all those things. But his understanding of how we may want to attack, what defensive look they're showing, what does it look like to us, and how can he be in something different? Oh, this guy's blitzing. How can I get somebody else to blitz in a short period of time and keep everybody on the same page? He had an unbelievable ability to do all those things. And so, through all those days on the practice field, there was some good back and forth. And then we would kind of get together and talk about the period afterwards, and then go back out there. And it really kind of helped me understand everything about our defense that we were doing, and I tried to help him as well. And then, so when you get on the field on Sundays, Weddle was one of those guys. We were similar in that regard. He was always watching the offense and knew what we were trying to get done and what we. So it was definitely an awesome on-field relationship as well as off-field, as our boys played together in flag football as well. But his ability, you couldn't beat him in the building in the mornings. You couldn't stay any later than he did. I mean, the way he studied and understood the opponent and how much time he put into it was awesome. And so that was much appreciated, the back and forth that we had all those years.
Lara Overton.
Philip, there's been a lot made of Naim's touchdowns and celebration earlier in the week, and it's always fun to listen for your reaction. And in the end zone, we can hear you call out, "Unleash the hamster." Can you explain what's behind that, the inspiration for that?
I don't recall saying that personally, but he's unbelievable. I mean, I didn't realize it was actually the whatever you call that somersault in the air that it was. At first, I just thought he did a backflip, which I had seen him do on the practice field, and had a few other teammates that could do it. But unbelievable! Just both catches. Both catches were great, and the run after the catch, finding a way to get in the end zone, were unbelievable. And then to top it off like that is just in full uniform and takes a unique talent. So it's fun to have him out there with us and all the different things he can do, and what a dynamic player he is for us.
All right, last one, Stacey Dales.
Hey, Philip, the Ravens, obviously the highest blitz rate in the NFL this season. You've been fantastic against the blitz, and we'll certainly see how they're affected by COVID. Your offensive line's been great, but what do you see on tape with this defensive front and that blitz with Martindale? And then what kind of excites you, given the competitor you are, when you face a defense like this?
Well, Josh, great deal of respect for, not only Coach Harbaugh, but Coach Martindale and his defenses over the years, and certainly different roles he's had in those defenses. I feel like I've competed against his defenses many, many times, back to his time in Oakland and Denver and here in Baltimore a handful of times. He never lets you settle in. He never lets you settle in, that's for sure. So that's the first thing that jumps off the tape is, man, there's guys coming from everywhere, and they fly to the ball, and there's balls on the ground. I mean, they do an unbelievable job of stripping and getting takeaways. But it is exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. There's an element of the back and forth. It's like, oh, they're going to do this, and we got to counter that, and they're going to counter this. That you kind of feel throughout the game, and it just never allows you to get comfortable. There's certainly so many things they do that are just so conventional and that are just like, oh yeah, that's cover three, and then there's so many things they do that you go, holy smokes, what in the world is going on? So it's definitely going to be a challenge. I think too, when it's one thing to have crazy, I should call it crazy. One thing to have multiple schemes and really exotic things. But when you do it with really good players, which they have, it makes it a heck of a challenge. So it'll be a tough test. It'll be an important week of preparation for us, and then managing all that they do and taking care of the football, and it will be key on Sunday.